Okay. So the opposite of play is not work. The opposite of play is depression. So if
Oh.
you are feeling isolated and less than joyful, I'm going to ask you to go out and play. Do something today that's playful, whether it's throwing a tennis ball to your galumphy German Shepherd puppy, or it's closing your eyes and putting lipstick on your face and then opening your eyes and realize you've got lipstick going up your nostrils. I don't care what it is. Something that's playful that makes you laugh. I
Yeah.
mean, it's something every day that's playful. I think I want to reiterate that thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just letting someone off the hook. It's about letting go of some things that are no longer helpful for you, that can open doors of possibility that you weren't aware of.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Can you believe it? We are just 2 weeks away from the Extraordinary Women Ignite conference. The excitement is building, and I've been working on all my latest and best teachings to help you build a business with more time prosperity and wealth prosperity. If you're ready to step into 2025 with a bold plan for your business, you want to be in this room. When you join us at Ignite, you'll walk away with powerful clarity around your vision and the confidence to use your voice to attract your soul clients. You'll learn how to build your brand from the inside out and speak your client's love language, and then step fully into your leadership. If you've ever wanted to stop playing small and lead with more ease and joy, this is your moment. You'll leave Ignite knowing exactly how to grow your business with more freedom, more financial abundance, and the support of a community of like-minded women. It's time to stop holding back, and it's time to step into the business you've always wanted. If this speaks to you, there's still time to join us, October 24th through 26th in Golden, Colorado. Grab your tickets at CamiGellner.com/ignite, and don't forget to use the code EWR to save $200. I can't wait to see you there. Now, let's dive into today's episode. I'm thrilled to welcome my friend Betsy Clark to the show, and today we're going to talk about something that's incredibly important for women entrepreneurs: active hope. Betsy says it best. Hope is a terrible business strategy, yet active hope is a brilliant strategy for life and business. And that's what we're unpacking today. How active hope is all about taking action, creating momentum, and confidently stepping forward no matter the challenges. We'll talk about how Betsy has used this concept in her own life and also to support women entrepreneurs in building their businesses and lives. And then also how you can tap into active hope to break through the fear and uncertainty that might be holding you back. If you've ever felt like hope isn't enough, this episode will give you a whole new perspective. Now, let's meet my friend, Betsy Clark. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Betsy. I am so thrilled to have you here today.
Oh, I've been so excited about today. I couldn't wait.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear more of your stories because, you and I have known each other for a while. And I've learned some things about you just prepping for this interview that I didn't even know. So that's the best part of these interviews.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to come out, and it's
Totally.
always good. So
Totally. So you worked alongside your husband for 35 years in your co-business together, and then you made this big pivot into coaching. And it's been, how many years has it been that you made this pivot? It was like 14 years ago or so.
14 years.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that part of your life, and then what prompted that pivot into something new.
So basically, Kimmy, I've always been a coach. I was an athlete for years, and even in high school as the captain of the team, and I was coaching, and I got into sports and sports coaching and all of that. And it's funny because my husband was doing commercial painting for government jobs, and I was the head of our company because it was a woman owned, and we had a better shot at getting some of these big jobs. So I realized that I needed a creative outlet, and someone asked us to do a faux finish on a piece of furniture. And back in the early 80s, you're going, faux finish, what's that? And people were still calling it Fox finishing at that point. And he said, Betsy, do you think you could do something like that? And I'm going, well, I don't know. I mean, they wanted to do marble on a table. So I went up to San Francisco and I learned how to do that. And my husband did not know he was artistic. And we're blind to our blind spots. And once he realized he could do what I was doing, we came together and collaborated, and we did faux finishing on walls, on ceilings, on furniture, on columns. And then it morphed into wood finishes for the Broadmoor and the Brown Palace and doing historic
Oh,
restorations.
wow.
And so fortunately, it was at a time where people really liked having heavy wood finishes. And some of the doors that we did, they took like 25 passes. So you'd sand and then you'd sand again, and then you'd stain and then you'd sand and then you'd glaze and then you'd put these mirror finishes on. And so, I could walk 10 miles in our studio just going back and forth on doors because you go from one end of the door to the next. And we did that for 35 years. We wove our kids into that business and we had a blast. And we were working down at a private school down south in Colorado Springs, and I had just gone over the handlebars on my bike, and I broke some teeth. I broke my thumb and surgery, got a concussion. It was a doozy of an accident. And the show must go on, and this project was running late, and so I had to put a glove on my casted, newly operated hand, and I was walking up this scaffolding that was 2 stories high over Sotillo tile. And I got to the top and I'm blending in the color between the wall and the ceiling. And I dropped my chip brush because I have this big cast on my hand. So I go down this scaffolding 2 stories. I pick up my chip brush and I get to the top and I get such a case of vertigo. I'm like, holy cow, I've already hit my head once this month. I don't think I need to do it a second time. This is not a rinse, lather, repeat thing.
Right.
So I went down to my husband. I climbed down and I said, you know what, sweetheart, I think we've just got too many eggs in one basket. And I physically can't take how strong I need to be. And I'm not feeling it right now. I think I need to look at something else. So this is why powerful questions can change your life. So I still have the cast. I still am getting over this concussion. I'm walking in the neighborhood with my friend in a late fall afternoon. And she said, Betsy, what's your favorite nickname? Well, I'm going, what does that have to do with the price of eggs? I'm having an identity crisis. And you're asking me what my favorite nickname is. And I didn't even miss a beat because I was coaching field hockey at this same school that we were doing the artwork on. And I said, my favorite nickname is coach. And she said, oh. And it wasn't mom. It wasn't sugar blossom. It wasn't honey bun. It wasn't any of that. It was coach. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've been a coach. I was a color coach. I coached for interior designers who were afraid to talk about color and with their clients. And so they'd call me in as a color coach. Well, I've been an athletic coach. I've been a diet coach when there was no diet industry back in the 70s. And I thought, wow, what is it that I've brought to coaching my whole life? And I read Psycho-Cybernetics by David Schwartz when I was in high school. It's what a geek I am. And I realized I've been a mindset coach my whole life.
Because so even the mindset part of it was really an important part of how you've been coaching.
Oh, always. Absolutely. Because when I would color coach, I'd say, you have a designer who's just designed your master bathroom, and you just had a color or a interior designer come in and do your family room, and you're not feeling like there's congruence between the two. It sort of feels like Donald Duck's house because you've got two different people's opinions.
Right.
And they didn't check in with you. But if you understand, you've got a plumb line that if you will trust that that's true, and people ask you enough questions to tease that out of you, your house will be integrated. All the colors will work. The design will work. And you know more than you think you do. So could we trust that instinct? And can we go from there? And that's why
Yeah.
designers love to work with me, as I helped integrate the house as opposed to project by project.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why your mindset matters. And I've seen that continuity, whether it's through dieting. I bought my first business at 23. I didn't know what I was doing. I was right out of college. I bought a diet center when there was no weight loss industry except for Weight Watchers. And I coached women around nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that we all need someone in our corner cheering us on, not making decisions for us, but guiding us to our inner wisdom and our own
Yeah.
truth in the process. So,
So agree. So agree. And so that's where you really stepped into the world of coaching. And you, you I know that the mindset piece kept calling to you. Said, did you go right out of the gate as a mindset coach? Or how did you come out there?
well, it was a coach
Yeah.
who teased that out of me, a friend that
Yeah.
you
Of
and I know.
course. Uh-huh.
And I hadn't I hadn't thought about that word, but it really does boil down to how how we think. That
Yeah.
matters in every decision we make in life. How we think about ourselves, how we think about our future, how we think about our past.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's working with as many entrepreneurs as I do, on any given year. That is some of the biggest work that we can do with our clients is that mindset work, because there's so much game, so much noise that's always going on in our minds as
right,
entrepreneurs. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that you have a theory that you talk about called active hope. Tell us a little bit about what that is and just how that came to be.
Okay, I love that question because hope, I understand what it's like to be hopeless. I've
Mm-hmm.
been there. I've,
Mm-hmm.
my life force was at like a 1 after my friend attempted suicide.
Mm.
And I really was able to relate to her hopelessness there. And we all need hope. And I use the acronym HOPE as having an optimistic perspective effortlessly or every day.
Mm.
What would
Say
it
that one more time. Hope is having an optimistic.
optimistic perspective every day or
Mm.
effortlessly? So I think we have to start with every day. And then I
Yeah.
help my clients have that effortlessly because it's a habit of thinking.
Yeah.
And so if you look at hope on the internet, they say hope is a terrible business strategy. And I think that's right. Well, I hope I'll get 3 clients. Well, you got to do something about it,
Right.
right?
Right.
When I first started coaching, my first program that I went through, the coach talked about active hope, and it was like a zinger for me. I've never forgotten that term. I'd never heard active with hope. And so I started exploring it because hope is that thing that lets us view our future as having possibility, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing
Yeah.
that draws us forward. But
Yeah.
here's the piece about hope is it also is in that moment when you get that spark, that realization of, oh, that's a possibility. You have it then. So it's now and it's future. Well, where it gets really juicy for me is that hope that's active is it goes beyond sitting on your couch, twiddling your thumbs, hoping your ship will come in.
Like, will it come in? Will it be here? This
Yeah,
is what
yeah.
I'd love to make happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what active hope is it's you go down to the wharves every day and you send out another ship.
Mm.
And you also go down to the wharves and you check out the horizon. Is what I've done bearing fruit? And if it hasn't, I send out another ship. So it's an invitation to take responsibility and be engaged in our own future in a
Yeah.
way that sparks hope in the moment and also in the future. And having just come through a 1 year cancer journey, that hope, that active hope, was a big deal for me. And so it's so interesting because I've always loved hope. Um, I loved it when Kim talked to me about active hope. So it really stuck. It was sticky in my head. It had Velcro.
Mm.
And to walk out through a friend's suicide, a friend going to sleep and not waking up, to
Mm.
a cancer diagnosis, what are the things that keep me afloat is not just a squishy thing called hope. It's a very active, gritty decision to stay engaged with now and the future.
Yeah. And how did you do that on a daily basis? I mean, let's just go back through this cancer journey, right? The journey that you went through. What were some of the things you personally did to keep your active hope alive?
That's a great question. I decided that my prognosis for the first 4 months that I knew I had cancer was unknown. They had to
Mm-hmm.
do surgery and check for lymph nodes, all that sort of stuff, and how advanced it had spread. And I realized that all I had was today. And what could I do to make today the best day it could be right now, where I had hope in the moment and for the future, which was the next day.
Right.
And so I did something that I don't recommend that most people do, but if you feel prompted to do this, then do it. Um, I realized that if I only had a year or two ahead of me while I was waiting, what what would I want? What would I want to say to Archie? I'm glad I don't have regrets, because
Mm-hmm.
my intention is to live a regret-free life, Cami. That's really a life mission for me.
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes, but there's a difference between mistakes and regrets. And I didn't want to miss opportunities. So I decided I've always wanted a German Shepherd. We never got a German Shepherd ever because, we have little kids and all that sort of stuff. And I said, Arch, if I've got 1 year, I'm going to at least train this dog for you, because if I leave, you've got this German Shepherd. And so we decided
Mm.
to name her Remedy, because she was my remedy.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I had my mastectomy. I did not feel great.
Yeah.
And you have to, if you're going to house train a dog, you have to get up, even when you don't want to, whether you have had a mastectomy or not.
Yeah.
And, when you have a big dog that's got a lot of energy, they have to be walked 2 or 3 times a day.
Right.
And so I still got my 5 miles in every day, even as I was recovering. It was not a pretty walk, but you know what? We did it. And I needed that movement. I needed a semblance of normalcy,
Yeah.
because I didn't know what the future held for me. And I think that's bringing hope into the everyday. And because I took that approach, I was able to trust my decisions, because I was making decisions I was willing to live with, and I was making decisions I was willing to die with. And
Mm-hmm.
I have chosen a unique path to my healing.
Mm-hmm.
And those are decisions that I can live with.
Right.
And I
Right.
can't tell anyone else how to navigate their cancer journey, because
Right.
we all, we say everybody is different, but truthfully,
Absolutely.
Cami, everybody is different.
Right.
And
Right.
even if
So
my
agree.
and if my sister had the same cancer I have, it would still be expressed differently, even though we
Yeah.
have similar DNA. And
Yeah.
so there's no judgment in how people are doing it. It's an invitation to explore, what does hope look like for you, and how do
Yeah.
you activate that?
Yeah.
Because I think there's a 3-step process. It's awareness. How do you heighten I call it the AAA effect. The first A is awareness. How do you heighten your awareness? How do you look and see what your blind spots are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the awareness is, I have to make some big decisions and some big changes in my life if I want to conquer this cancer.
Yeah.
The other A is to accept it. I didn't really like hearing, Betsy, you have lobular breast cancer and we need to remove your breast. That really wasn't my choice.
Right. Right.
But I accepted it so that I could get into action. And what I did is I knew that I had breast cancer, because I could feel the lump. I was experiencing stinging, and I knew before I was diagnosed. So I
Yeah.
decided to go into Pilates. I'd never had time. I'd never had the inclination to do it, but I realized it was the one thing that was gentle that would strengthen me. And so I did Pilates up until the day before my surgery so that I could go in and be as strong as I possibly could. So that was
Mm-hmm.
the awareness, the acceptance, and the action.
And the action.
And then the thing that keeps this going, this whole AAA effect, the circle, is anticipation.
Mm.
So it's awareness, it's acceptance, and it's action. But there's anticipation that as I heighten my awareness, the more I learn, the better I can be. That's a real. I botched that for Maya Angelou, but so that anticipation that I'm not powerless,
Yeah.
not
It's
hopeless.
by staying in action, you're actually being active in how you're managing to whatever the scenario is.
Well, and because it's motivated by hope, I'm not desperate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
It totally makes sense. It's a beautiful circle, and I love that. And you've got some really good positive word back on how you've healed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just you want to just kind of bring that full circle. What's your news as far as
Well,
your healing?
my news is that they just did an ultrasound and there's no cancer in my left breast, and so
Yeah.
I'm they will not say that I'm cancer free, but
Yeah.
I view it as I am free of
Yeah.
cancer
Yeah.
and I'm in remission. And,
Yeah.
and not everybody, and I don't want to be cavalier and say it's this simple. It's
Yeah.
not this
No,
simple.
it's not.
But
No.
this is, even if your prognosis is not similar to mine, and,
Mm-hmm.
some people can just have lumpectomy, and it's still an invitation. There's still room to work within this model,
Yeah.
regardless of what your
I
prognosis
do.
is, whether you have cancer or you don't have
Yeah.
cancer. This works if you're going through the dissolution of a relationship or a business, or you're in a life transition or crisis. I think this has application because I've used
Totally.
this over and
Totally.
over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how you're working with entrepreneurs with Active Hope. Tell us more about that.
Well, I think it gets back to mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but the critic, the
Oh,
judge,
totally.
is
Every
so
day.
so loud and so present, and such a it's like listening to a baseball game, and there's just that
No,
sportscaster
no, no, no,
just
no,
keeps
no.
like,
Yeah.
just a moment.
It's like,
And
stop it.
right. And that's the inner critic of, you don't have what it takes. Who do you think you are? You're not strong enough. You're just like so and so. And, but, you're kind of dumb. Have you noticed that you're kind of dumb? And I'm like, these are just stupid voices that I've allowed to have access to my brain. And so I work in positive intelligence of,
I love positive intelligence.
I love it. And
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm a certified strengths coach, so I lead with what's
Mm-hmm.
right with you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what are
Mm-hmm.
your strengths? But then you pair that with positive intelligence. So you're not only leading with positive intent, you're thinking with positive intent. And so you quiet the critic, because that's one part of your brain, and then you kind of starve those neural pathways
Mm-hmm.
by amplifying the sage perspective, which is your inner wisdom.
Yeah.
So you got your inner wisdom going, you got your strengths going, and you got this thing called active hope and this AAA effect that's going on in the background, which is fueled by anticipation. That, Cami, is a juicy way to live.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. How do you tap into some of the positive? I mean, the strength finders is one certain way that you can do that, right? It's like people
Yep.
really tapping into their strengths. What are some other ways that you really help people tap into that positive intelligence?
Well, there's a an assessment you can take. That
Hmm.
right there, the assessment right there is like,
Yeah.
oh. So I did not know that. I'm a Virgo. I just love things to be orderly. I love to be strategic. I like to sort of plan things out. Well, the other side of that is the little saboteur that gets in there and takes my activator strengths and my Virgoism and all that energy. It makes me a stickler, where it's just like, I just need things to be perfect. Well, that's ridiculous.
Because everything is so perfect in everything that we do, right? Never.
In my little perfect world, have you not noticed?
Right.
And so, how do you take all this juicy positiveness and how do you take that critic stuff and how do you make it make sense
Yeah.
in a way that's authentic to you? Because I'm no one's answer. So instead of coaching from the model of 80% insight, like I bless you with my wisdom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if we had 80% application in the coaching process and only 20% insight? That's how you change neural pathways. That's how you change mindset.
Mhm.
And you frame it where it's juicy and good and it's filled with hope. Because hope is not being a Pollyanna.
Yeah.
It's just saying, I'm going to put the emphasis on the right syllable.
Yeah. One of the things we've been talking a lot about is like, what are the stories that are really pulling us down? I love powerful stories that uplift us, like, where we can tap into that. But there's also these stories that always go through our head over and over again. We tell ourselves over and over again every single day. And those stories can be so draining. So if we can change, I'm just fascinated with brain science these days, where you look at those neural pathways and we keep falling into the same the same funnel every single day with this story that we keep telling ourselves over and over again. And it's breaking that habit is can be a really difficult thing for people to catch themselves in it. But once they start to catch themselves in that story every day, they really can start to change the language that they're using. They can start to change how they show up. They can even just how they walk, right? It changes them physically and energetically. It's really
Oh,
powerful.
bingo.
Yeah.
And so, what I love with positive intelligence, Shazad, the guy that really developed this
Mm-hmm.
whole idea, they it they took MRIs of the brain
Yeah.
before people started using this PQ approach,
Mm-hmm.
this operating system.
Yep.
And then they did it 6 months later, and there was a shift in their brain. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's because they've stopped this inane rinse and repeat in
Yeah.
things that aren't helpful. Like
Yeah.
that's if I had to say there's one quote in our family between my husband and me and my kids and me is that's not helpful.
Yeah. Ooh, that's
And
a good one.
it will and I like it because we think I don't like that. That's mean. I don't like the way that makes me feel. It's like really that story again, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we can look at, is this moving the needle forward in our thinking and in our lives, or is it not? Is it not helpful? So
Yeah.
I love the idea of, oh, that's helpful versus that's not helpful. Because if you're a people pleaser, all you do is pander because you want everybody to like you, right? But that's not helpful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, how do we hold to our truth and still be helpful?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. It's like being true to ourselves, but not like fall into these patterns that keep us stuck. And those patterns do keep us stuck. So I know you talk about saboteurs and mind monkeys, how often they're back there and how they can hold us back. What are some practical ways that you really helped your clients identify and overcome these saboteurs and unlock their true potential?
So I think it goes back to that free assessment that PQ or
Mm-hmm.
positive intelligence has.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I really am, I'm a broken record, but
And do you teach positive intelligence work? I mean, do you do their
it's a,
programming? You do.
yes,
So if somebody is wanting to do positive intelligence, you're somebody that they can go to.
absolutely.
Cool. Because
Absolutely.
I did it for a little while and then I let that I don't keep it active in my program anymore. But I do love the work. So it's good to know that that's you incorporate that.
Well, the reason like to me, it's hand in glove with what your strengths are because people, when they look at the Gallup's strengths assessment, they go, yeah, but that's a Pollyanna approach, and we do have our weaknesses, and I'm like, undeniably, we all have our shadow
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think what I love about what positive intelligence brings to the table is let's talk about the saboteurs Let's become aware of them and understand their tricks and the way they trip us up.
Mhm.
And here's how you actively do it. And so it's through the sage perspective. Well, just to touch on the first two ways that you can unhook from the saboteur is to have empathy. What a concept. I mean, Cami, here's the thing. Grace. We all need grace. We
Yeah.
all need grace. Grace is having empathy on ourselves and saying, oh, you know what? You're right. That's not helpful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it can be as simple as that. And
Yeah.
the next part of the sage perspective is exploration. Okay, so if that's not true, if I don't deserve money is an old tape and that's not helpful, how do I show myself empathy? Well, maybe that's an old story that's no
Mhm.
longer true. So, how do I explore that? Okay, what are some possibilities? Oh, you know what? The truth of the matter is, when I look at the truth of my past, I've done this, 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 and this. I've been very successful in this area, this area, this area, this area. I mean, like, I'm just saying that's anybody can say, where have
Yeah.
you been successful?
Right.
And how can I take those things that I've learned about myself and apply those going forward?
Yeah.
How can I accept that truth as opposed to just sleepwalking through the lie, I don't deserve money? Because that's a lie,
Yeah.
Cami.
Totally.
That's a lie.
Totally. That's good. That's really, really good. So you just held up your grace cards, and as you were talking about grace, so tell us a little bit about. I know they become a unique part of your coaching practice. Tell us what your grace cards are, and just how do you leverage them?
So Trisha Turpinoff and I had this discussion about 12 years ago.
And Trisha
And,
Turpinoff is our dear friend who's been on this show, and we lost her last year. So
and we
she's been on
missed
Extraordinary. We miss her so very much, and she's been on Extraordinary Women Radio. So if you want to meet somebody fabulous, definitely go back and listen to that episode. But go ahead.
so she and I were talking about this, and this goes back 40 years. I was
Mm-hmm.
in a store with my daughter, and she had an outrageous outfit on, and her hair was a wackadoo style. And I just wanted my kids to be self expressed, and that's how she wanted to express herself that day. I was very pregnant, so I was pretty hormonal, and I was going, oh, please don't have me see anybody I know today because this is my delightful daughter, and I love my daughter. And it was just a crazy outfit.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting, I'm in the checkout line at this drugstore. My daughter is sitting in the cart, and I'm I'm a little embarrassed. I'll just be honest with you in that moment. And this woman just leaned in and she said, I'm so proud of you. She just whispered it in my right ear, and then she leaned back, and being pregnant, I just started to weep. Well, I didn't have the courage to look back at this woman and say thank you. I don't even know if it was a person.
It
And
was a little angel.
it was a little angel. Yeah, I'm proud of you. And I realized in that moment, she gave me so much grace because I was giving my daughter grace.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so this grace card says this is your personal grace card. It gives you a break or give yourself a break. This card is permission to love, accept, and forgive yourself. And I love the acronym. It's laugh, love, accept, and forgive yourself. If we could just laugh a little bit and lighten up. And what I found, Cami, over the years is the hardest part isn't so much the loving and the accepting, it's the forgiving.
Right.
And Richard Rohr has this great definition of forgiveness that really is powerful, and I've never forgotten it. And it's letting go of the past you wish you'd had.
Yeah.
Letting
Yeah.
go of the past you wish you'd had.
Mm.
So we've made a lot of mistakes, and we've ended up in places we're just going, how did I get here?
Right.
And giving ourselves grace and saying, well, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Now what do I do going forward? And what's so funny is that's the whole AAA effect again. Here's a
Yeah.
new awareness. This is where I am. How can I accept that and move forward?
Okay.
So active hope and grace have been brewing in two different burners all these years, and they come together and you put them together and you just get this juicy stew of life lessons where we go back not so uptight and stressed out, because I realized, cancer gave me a real gift in learning how to let go of stress and the pressure. Welcome to humanity. We all have our stuff. The end of the day is, what's the impact?
Yeah. So good, Betsy. So good. So as this, this next chapter for you evolves now, what's next for you?
Well, I'm really looking at ways to marry strengths and positive intelligence together, because strengths is all about leading with positive intent.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of nebulous. Like, what does that mean? How do I do that? And then you take this positive intelligence. Well, we know all these different things about intelligence. What's the so what? And the so what is to give yourself a chance, to give yourself some grace, to, when I got diagnosed and I heard that it was cancer, I didn't say, why me? I never asked that question, because I didn't know if cancer was good or bad. The jury wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ever have cancer again. And I don't wish that on anybody. I really don't. And now that I reflect back on where I was 2 years ago versus where I am today, the things I've learned in this last year have been so powerful.
Right.
So powerful. And the beauty of people I didn't even know loved me as much as they did from a distance, who never had an opportunity or didn't feel like they could enter into my circle, which is silly, but we do that. That's the story we tell ourselves. Oh, she wouldn't like me, or she doesn't know me. And the, I don't know, humanity, it's a beautiful thing. There's a lot more that's good out there that we don't hear about. And I just want to be a voice to say, there are a lot of really good people out there.
Yeah, I love it so much. And I love the idea of you weaving together these, these different bodies of work and really helping people, because I think, we're all on a journey, and there's going to be bumps and ups and downs and all this sorts of things that are going to happen. So really being able to help people and entrepreneurs get out there and do their most important work. And if we can strip away some of the noise that's there, if we can strip away some of the things that hold people back and keep them playing small, because they're quieting some of that noise, and they're giving themselves more grace. I think all of this is so positive. So beautiful, Betsy. So where can people learn more about you and your work?
Well, they can go to my website, which is coach and the number 2, and it's strengths, which is plural, which is kind of, sometimes that's a hard word to spell. So it's coach 2 strengths, and they can get information. They can sign up for a grace card. I'll send those to them. They can set up time if they just want to explore or ask questions or just get to know me. They can set up an appointment. I just feel really fortunate to be at this place in life and have the chance to share some
All
of the
your
things.
good wisdom.
Well, we didn't get here by living in a paper bag, Cammie, right?
We did not. We've lived a bit.
Yes, between the two of us, we've got some good stories, and I haven't done it right all the time.
No, we never do.
And I still work on my mind monkeys or the saboteurs. I mean, we all do.
Yeah,
Welcome
absolutely.
to humanity.
Absolutely.
So, we put people on pedestals, and I would love to just gently help women step down from those pedestals, or help people not put others on pedestals, because we all have our stuff.
Yeah.
but
Totally.
let's approach it in a way that's not so dramatic and not so heavy, because there's always hope.
Yeah, there's always hope. Okay, so the final question I always ask is, what are 3 pearls of wisdom you want to leave us with today? And you've given us so many already, but you've got 3 more to give us.
Pearls of wisdom. Okay, so the opposite of play is not work. The
Ooh,
opposite of play is depression. So
wow.
if you are feeling isolated and less than joyful, I'm going to ask you to go out and play. Do
Mm.
something today that's playful, whether it's throwing a ball, tennis ball, to your galumphy German Shepherd puppy, or it's closing your eyes and putting lipstick on your face and then opening your eyes and realize you've got lipstick going up your nostrils. I don't care what it is. Something that's playful that makes you laugh. I
Yeah.
mean, it's something every day that's playful. I think I want to reiterate that thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just letting someone off the hook. It's about letting go of some things that are no longer helpful for you, that can open doors of possibility that you weren't aware were there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
2.
That's 2.
Um, I think I'm going to go to Bobby McFerrin. Don't worry, be happy.
I love it. Thank you so much, Betsy. I'm so glad you were able to join us today. And I'm so glad to know you, my friend. It's really love you so much. So thanks for being here and sharing all your wonderful, wonderful wisdom.
Thanks, Kimmy.